Okay, here was the tank that we called the Nano Salad Bowl Mini or the Nano Mini. You can tell that it's the cloudy. It's very, very cloudy. There is green at the bottom, but that is my Christmas moss. But look, it even looks like those could be some type of mold. I don't know, that's really weird. I've never seen anything like that. But I did have some, I've got some of the duckweed in here. And so I'm hoping that does make a difference. Now, here is the water sprite. I set this up just because the water sprite was growing so well in my other tanks. And you can see, I had a lot of this where you couldn't even see it. It was under the gravel. So everyone's come up. And now this tank doesn't have anything in it, but this tank is also at the very end where there's not as much lighting. There's a lot of wood that's in the way of the lighting, so it's not getting that direct lighting look. That could be the reason. That's why I think lighting has a lot to do with this. So let's pop up, and here is our shot for bird on a wire. So let's get close in. You can see right there, growing right on the rocks, on the stick itself. Now, it's not really interfering with the plants at all, because the plants are doing well. If you'll take a peek up here, we've already got new growth popping out of the one that's here at the top. And yes, I put some of the floaters up here. And as you can see, I've already got some house plants that I'm trying to get roots inside here. And I just stuck it between wherever I could get it in there just so that they could see it. But you can see how cloudy-ish the water is. And now the Rosa, the red here, they've done incredible. I mean, yeah, they have done incredible. And my dwarf hairgrass, yeah. Some of it is so much taller than I expected, but I have been fertilizing it, so. Now let's go to Turtle in Motion, which has the least effect whatsoever. It's really noticeable here on the leopard Vallisneria, but look at the rocks. Rocks are fine, wood's fine. It's got some slime stuff maybe on the wall, and then that's one of the floaters. And it does have a few of the duckweed. But as far as this one, it's looking a lot better. I'm trying to do a prayer plant growing out of the front of these. Now, so here's the worst one. Now remember, this one has had 2 water changes already. And the water changes really didn't do anything. You can tell this one has got slime everywhere. It's on the ground for the substrate. It's everywhere. Doesn't seem to be growing on the rocks. I'm sure it is, but doesn't seem to be growing on the rocks. And here's our snake. And here's our snake's little mouth. I hope that little red plant in his mouth survives, because that's supposed to be his tongue. And then I've got a few more floaters to put in here in this water. But the cloudiness in this one is just horrible. But okay, one cool thing is that water sprite right there. I'm serious, you couldn't even see it. It was not even above this base of this one. And our little Rosa plants there, those were the tiniest ones. Now they're not all doing that well. Look at this one. This is the size that they were when they were planted. So you can see this, it's being attacked. Yeah. Okay, so there you can see all 3 tanks. Let's see if we can move forward. It's a little bit better. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to reset the timer. So the timers on this one were on, I believe it was a 12-hour day, a high intensity. There's 4 lighting levels. So I'm going to reduce that to half, and I'm going to go 6 hours. So I'm going to just drastically cut it down because with the plants being new, the water being new, I've been dosing it with liquid fertilizer. It's got the root tabs underneath there. I'm using the API product. So I have used the water clarifier, but because I'm not running a filter on it, its job is to clump up the algae and the cloudiness and then remove it through the filter. Since I'm not doing a filter, I would have to physically, vacuum these out. So I want to wait until I'm going to give it like a week and a half, maybe 10 days to put all these on half lighting. No more fertilizing. I'm not doing anything to them. And let's see then what it's going to look like. So that's going to be no more dosing and the lighting intensity and the lighting duration, just to see if we can give the plants a chance to catch up with what is happening with the algae. So the algae bloom is just going crazy just because I'm putting so much fertilizer in there. And then also the intensity is really, really bright. But I wanted you guys to see this because we're going to document this and we want to see what works and what does not work. And for me right now, the tank that is in the most jeopardy would be the hospital one because it's attacked everything in there. And those plants I don't want to have messed up because they're already vulnerable. And prayer hands because it's looking like a mess. And then third would be bird on a wire, just because that tank was gorgeous, like the one in the middle, but with the algae coating and everything. And it's like an algae slime. I don't remember the correct word for it, but I did look it up. And I saw that it's something that's quite common. So I don't have anything to worry about as far as did I do something drastic that I screwed up on. Well, yeah, I've been dosing it and I put it on highlighting. I should have known better because it does say when you're first cycling that you should put the water in first and let that cycle and then introduce your plants. I did mine together and then introduce fertilizer, which caused the algae bloom. So this is my bad. So that's why we're doing a video like this. So you'll get the idea of maybe to avoid what's happening in my tanks just by taking a little more precaution. So I hope the video helps. Hey guys, I wanted to give you a quick shot of exactly how I'm going about doing my water changes and how, because of this bacteria, it likes to cling onto everything. I came up with a way that works for me. So I'm going to show it to you, then you guys can take it for what it's worth. But it does look like it's working. I did just clean and do the water change here in bird on a wire. I mean, so you can tell. Now, that's not what it's going to stay looking like, of course. I've just treated it. So what I did, so I can see what I'm pointing at here. Okay. See that? It's just a regular paintbrush. I went in with the paintbrush and I brushed everything down while one pump is in there pumping water out to my patio with a air hose. And there's another little mini pump, and these are both just little 3-watt pumps. Very, very inexpensive, less than $10. The other one is just moving water around in the tank. So what it's doing is it's creating like a little whirlpool effect. I'm using the paintbrush. I put my net inside there as well. That way I can pick up all the loose bacteria. I also took a toothbrush, a clean one, no, not one I've used, and I washed down the interior of the tank and on the wood and the rocks, because this rock here specifically had algae on it, and so did the one in the back. Now, I did lose some of my floaters, but you can see the difference. Now, let's look at the tank that is actually doing the job right now. So I have installed a switch on one of the pumps. This went to a waterfall that I had in a build that I got rid of. And so I'm using that pump. See, it goes right there. That pump is connected to a 1/4-inch tubing that we use in the hobby. it's taking this and it's going outside to my patio and out to the flower bed. Now, the second pump, when you see right here, it's just on, and it's just pushing water around so that it can dislodge any of the bacteria there. So you can tell it's already dislodged this area. I had it pointing here. I've moved it around several times. Now it's working on the vase-are area because the vase-are has really been impacted by the fungus. But the fungus is not on the wood structure. It's not on the rock. It's only on the dwarf hairgrass. And when it's on the dwarf hairgrass, it's turning this emerald green consistency, which is typical of this type of a bacteria. It can do several things. Now, it'll be completely different when we get into the next tank, when we do prayer hands, because that one is a hot mess with the bacteria. So, but this is specifically how I've got it going on right now. So let me let you guys zoom in just a little bit more. Okay, so you can see the water agitation, and what I did in the other tank was wherever I got that water pointing towards, the net goes right in front of it, and it catches it as it comes around, sort of like a racetrack. That's what I had going on, and that worked really, really well. And then anything I catch in my net, I take it to the kitchen sink, put it in a white bowl, and make sure I don't have any plants in it before I throw it down the drain. But I wanted you to see real world, this is exactly how I'm doing it. Okay, so here is the end of day one. So this is the day that I decided to start the changes for the bacteria bloom that we had going on. And all the tanks, so the three main tanks, the Trinity tanks, have all had between a 75 and an 80% water change. And you saw the last clip where I have one pump that's circulating water on the inside and stirring the bacteria up. A second pump is pumping it out through a 1/4-inch air line out to the patio area. And that's how I'm changing the water out. I'm taking out as much of the infected algae water or bacteria water, and then putting the new water in and treating it, of course, for the aquarium. And the only other thing that I put into the aquariums and the bowls was the API Algaefix to treat the algae that's still going to be in there. But here is how the bowls look now. Now remember, there wasn't much affected by the water sprite because there was so little water in there anyway, but you can see much clearer. The bowls got more of like a quadruple water transfer because especially the Nano, the one with the branch, the former salad bowl, that one, I had to do it continuously because the algae bacteria bloom in there was so severe and thick. So that one had at least 5 constant changing. Water was going in and water was getting pumped out. So I had like a garden hose going into it, a bowl pumping it out, and it just kept on doing it until the water cleared up. Same thing for the vase. It had the same regimen. I put a hose down all the way at the bottom because we had a layer at the bottom. It was like 1 inch thick and of the bacteria bloom, and I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to get that out because it's very narrow. So I put the hose to the pump all the way at the bottom and then turned it on and flushed clean water in, and it moved all the bacterial bloom into the tank itself. It rose higher, so then the second pump could pump it and pump it out. So I'm hoping that that'll help those. And both of those two, when I put the water back in it, it's just a regular water hose with a sprayer on it. I had the sprayer on it and I sprayed the inside down, and not gently. I mean, I kind of like really went after it. So I'm hoping that whatever was on the plants themselves, got taken care of, got washed off. But now let's pop up to the tanks. Okay, so they've had their treatment. They all just had the same treatment. I tried to save as much of the floaters as possible, but you can see now, okay, so now you can see the clarity that there's not the bacterial bloom attaching itself to the wood structure. It was also on the rocks. Straight up green algae was on the rocks. I was able to get that off with the toothbrush. And then I just washed the wood down. Same thing with the water hose with the sprayer on it. Turtle in motion, that was pretty straightforward. I focused it on the substrate because that's where a lot of its debris was. And then I didn't move any plants there. Everything was fine. I just redid it, gave it its water change, treated it. So hopefully that one will continue to look all right. And then over here with prayer hands, of course, now it looks, okay. Hang on a second. Okay, much better. So it looks all right now. I did put in, I did forget to mention that. I did put in more substrate in all three of the Trinities. I put more substrate around where when I put the pump in and was stirring things up, it moved a lot of my substrate. So I just went back in with a little more substrate to put around the plants. Really, the Rosa was the one that had the hardest time because a couple of those came dislodged in one tank. And then in prayer hands, I dislodged a lot of my Nana. So I was able to reattach those, and I had to reattach the boost as well. But it is looking so much better. Now, last time I did, it looked good for like a few hours, and then it, became cloudy again. But I'm hoping that with this is its third water change, and this time the lighting is going to go down, and intensity, and also the duration. And then no more dosing. And I got a 3-day trip coming up. I'll see what it looks like coming back. But in this video, I'm just going to put all the updates in one. That way you can see how we progress over the entire time. So that if you have in your area an outbreak like this, then it'll at least give you some kind of a fighting chance on what you're going to be able to do to combat that. So stay tuned for the updates. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye. Hi guys, Anthony here. All right, now it's day 2 for us. So treatment is day 1, and this has been 24 hours later. So I'm going to give you a close-up so you can see. Right here, you can tell after that one drastic water change, all the tanks are looking amazing. I think the big difference was putting the second pump inside the tanks and aerating them out. And that stirred up everything that was in there because they're all looking so much better. Let's get in closer. I'm going to show you the bowls. Now remember, here was our Nano, and it was literally the worst one. So you can see it still has cloudiness there. And here we go, top view. Not bad from the top view, but it is still cloudy. Now remember, it's been treated. We want to see if this, does its thing on its own. Look at the difference between the water Sprite, and this tank. Now, I just put enough water in the water Sprite container right there to the left because I want to track how fast it's growing, because everything that I planted in there was literally under the gravel. So now remember, these tanks now are 3 days old, and that water Sprite has grown that much in 3 days. Okay, let's move over to, here was the important one here. Here was the vase. Remember, the vase had this massive glob of the bacteria bloom at the bottom. So now here you can see I was able to flush all that out. And because I rinsed it so aggressively that I don't see much on it now. I did end up losing a lot of my floaters. I'm not going to lie about that. But fortunately, floaters do that. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to let you guys know. The floaters, when I was using, because you saw me using the net, the nice thing is I was dumping everything into a pail of water, and the floaters actually do what they're supposed to do. They float. So the algae or the bacteria was going to the bottom of the bowl, and the floaters went straight to the top. So it was easy to pick the floaters out. So I didn't lose as many as I could have lost, but yeah, I still did. All right, so here's the tanks. Here's bird on wire, and looks so much better. I mean, I can't really tell the difference between it and turtle in motion. It doesn't look like there's any. I think it's really lighting. One of the lights are not turned exactly the same in each tank, so I think they're back and it's shining on that background that's in there. But you can see, remember, all this was covered in the algae. Everything was. And now let's come down here. Now I did reposition a lot of these plants because I put more soil in it and I secured them better. I hope I didn't mess them up by doing that, but I really just wanted to make sure. And that was the rock right there that had the embedded algae in it. And it's looking, I mean, it just looks a lot better. I really want to do something with this funky arch right here. Oh, I don't know. I've been thinking about that. And I was like, I really want something. I want to put something under there, but I haven't found anything yet. Maybe, I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. I don't know if that looks like anything in the back. Oh no, it's reflection. Sorry, it's reflection in the glass. Okay, thought that was something there, but it's not. So that looks really good. I was really worried about these because, you know, with that bacteria bloom on them, it will choke out it literally chokes out the plant and kills it. So I was really nervous about that. I may need to jiggle that one in the back up. Let's see if the camera can help me zoom in. See that one there? Yeah, it looks like I need to get my paintbrush out and jiggle that one around a little bit because it still has some, I'm surprised it still has some on it because these back here got dislodged because the water was so, you know, turbulent. All right, let's go back out. Now, here's your shot right here. Now, if we don't look at the lighting part, yeah, the backgrounds look the same. It's the lighting. See how on the right, you can see the lighting is brighter on the background, and on the left, it is not. The one in the middle is right. That's how they all need to look. They all need to be positions where it's just going straight down. But here, remember we had a lot of issue in this area right there with the leopard valsinaria because it was just coated beyond belief. And you can see where I gave myself, remember, if you've watched any of the videos, I kind of complained because when I set these tanks up, I lost the curvature of my soil because I want them to look like they're together. And I was able to get more, but I had to put a lot more soil in it. Oh, and the lights just went off. Okay. So I'm sticking to it. I'm sticking to how long the timer is supposed to be on. And here we are, prayer hands. So it looks, oh my God, it really is like night and day difference. It really is. Now, most of this on the rock side, that all got dislodged. And let's look at the water sprite today. Now the water sprite, you can really see it. Now remember, I've been bragging about the water sprite. It was below in the bottom, and now that's a good 2 inches above. So it's grown, it has really grown like crazy. Now the snake, the little twig up here that I'm calling my snake, was filthy with it. I mean, it was so all over. It was disgusting. It was literally just the nastiest stuff coming off of it. So it looks a lot better. I want to show you guys something. You can tell. Yeah, you can. Okay, in the snake, he has a red tongue sticking out. Oh my God, that plant, I think, is alive still. I was so scared I had lost it. But this twig literally splits right there, and it looks like a mouth. And I put this teeny weeny little red thing in there. And it's it's still red. And I'm so happy about that because it really does look like snake. I really probably should rename this. I should rename this one we call it the Adam and Eve. Because the wood structure could be Adam and Eve, and there's the serpent with the tongue and everything. The rocks are kind of red. Oh my gosh, this should be the Garden of Eden. Okay, so let me know in your comments. Should I call this the Garden of Eden really instead of prayer hands? Because now that it's got a serpent, the serpent's tongue is coming out. Okay, I'm kind of into that now. I don't know if you're able to see this from the back pan, but yeah, they're doing a lot better today, and I'll keep giving you guys little updates, but it's all going to be in one video, so you're going to see them right after together, just to make sure we're on track. So thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye. Hey guys, okay, so we are now into day 3, and here is your shot of how the tanks are this morning. Not much different, so that's one thing that's encouraging. There's not a lot of heavy bacterial bloom. I do see it though. Today is the day that I can treat it again with the Algaefix, and we're going to do like maybe a 30 to 50% water change in all the tanks. Where we saw the heaviest bloom, of course, was on the right on the shelf, which is prayer hands. That one had the heaviest bloom, and also the one on the left, bird on a wire. And I'm going to give you a close-up on bird on a wire because you can see how the bacterial bloom is trying to reestablish itself. Now, we have had the lighting on 50% and only for 6 hours. And so it's helped a lot. The Nano Bowl that had the most severe cloudiness, it is still being attacked. The tall vase, which is like our little hospital setup for our Java firm, it's floating around in there. So I think by doing a water change, we will help that out. It's not collected at the bottom like it was before. So that is also very encouraging. And of course, we've not done any fertilizer dosing. I've not put in the API cloudy mixture because we're trying to see if we can actually take care of the cloudiness on our own with our water changes and just sticking with our Algaefix solution and just monitoring it. So the Algaefix you can only administer every 3 days. So today is the day for that. So let me give you a close-up of all of them so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so I want to make sure you can see right now how the vase down here. All right, so right above the gravel layer is where we had that really intense coverage. So that is not there. That's good news. As we pan up, you can see in the water column that it's really floating around. So it is not allowing it to clump. It is, there's not a consistent slime on everything, which is nice. It looks like it's more, it really looks like it's more really floating and not so much sticking to anything. And now let's pan out. Focus on the bowl. Okay, so you can see it's still the cloudiest. And yes, there is the top layer still. So I think this one's really going to benefit from a water change. And I might do like I did the last time and do like a continuous water change until I can see it clearing up again. It looks like my white ivy cutting is not doing so well. That's always risky when you do a cutting. So that's that tank. And now, not that it was ever affected, the water sprite, let's see if I can zoom in for you, has continued to grow every single day. So we just had enough water on day one, and we have the leaves reaching it in 2 places, and they're leaning over. So of course today I'll add a little bit more water to it, but the water sprite continues to amaze me how fast it'll grow. Okay, now let me show you the tanks. Okay, so here is Bird on a Wire. I want to show you what I just noticed. You look closely, I'm not sure. Okay, do you see those little hair-like strands coming off of the bottom of the branch? That is the algae bloom there. So that's how it's starting to take hold. But as far as being on the plants or the rocks, no, they're still looking fine. It's not on the substrate. So it looks like it's attacking, well, right here. There's a really good, turn the light out completely. Okay, there's a really good shot right here. So it's attacking the wood. That gives you an idea of what you would be looking for. But remember last time, it was everywhere. It was on everything. We had a major algae outbreak that was on our rocks. So we don't have that yet. So the process is working, which is great. And let me show you the top view. The plants are still looking really good. And you can see that I didn't lose totally all of my floaters. They're just all clumped together. And these guys are doing really well. So I haven't messed them up. And these two here, which are another color, they're doing well. Now let's pan out. Here is Bird. I'm sorry, Bird. Turtle. So turtle really looks like I'm not being able to, other than like the vase-are right there, that's probably a dead leaf that's just fallen over, which is normal for a replanting. But I don't see it on the plants. I don't see, remember before, this is where we had the dark emerald green bloom on this one. So I'm not seeing it in here. I don't see anything floating in the water column. I'm still going to do a water change just to be on the safe side. But yeah, I don't see anything there. And let me now show you guys prayer hands, which by the way, prayer hands, we think we might rename this Garden of Eden because of the last shot that we made. Here, okay, so just like in Bird, can you guys see this? Here is the slime on the wood. So it's attacking the wood there. I can see it clearly there. But it's not on the plants. Because remember, when it got on the plants, you could clearly see it. I can see it a little up here on the golden. So how is the snake doing? Much better, because last time, remember, it was completely covered. And top view. So it looks like, yeah, it's on the hard, so it's on the hardscape, so I don't see it attacking anything else. Okay, so what I'll do is do my water change and then give you guys a follow-up. It's going to be the same formulas I did last time that I showed you on the last segment, where I'm going to use 2 pumps. And for me, it's super easy. It's very, very simple to do. It's a very little mess compared to a normal, what a water change could be. So let me get that underway, and then I'll give you guys a parting shot. Okay, so now we have had our water change. And if you can take a look, so much better. Little bowl, amazingly better. Now, these two were a little more involved because in the tall vase here, I ran 4 gallons of clean water through it and was able to, that's how long it took me to flush out the particles that were floating in. And then I did 3 gallons just in this tiny little thing because it really was a mess. And what I did was I ended up anchoring some of the Anubias to the branches because I'm having to do so many water changes are just coming out. Now, in Bird on a Wire, I did a 75% water change, and you can tell I cleaned off all the string bacteria that was on there. Using the 2 pumps, one to flush the water around, the other one to suck it up at the same time, it really works. It's very effective, and it's super cost effective. Well, cost effective also is because the pumps literally are about $10 each. In Turtle, I only did a 30% water change because there really wasn't much going on. But I still use both pumps on this one to circulate and then to clean everything out. Now, in Prayer Hands or Garden of Eden, we're in the transition phase. I'm going to go to Garden of Eden. This one, let me turn the light around so you guys can see it better. This one, I was able to do, I'm going to say a 90% water change. I got all the way down to the substrate. A lot of flushing around. I cleaned all the wood as much as I could. And I haven't put the snake back in because the snake, it's soaking in the sink right now because I want to make sure I get all the debris off of it. But that's how we're looking right now. And I want to tell you that even though we're doing low-tech setups here, I have always intended to have some type of a very, very small, like maybe a 5-watt little pump just to circulate water because I like the ripple effect of the water at the top of the surface. So I will be adding those in, and I'm going to try and see if I can't tweak the lighting so that Bird on a Wire isn't shining so much on the background, and it needs to be tilted to its 45 degree like the other 2 tanks are, because you can see the difference in how they look. I don't want to see necessarily the lights focusing so much on that background. I want it to be able to look more blended in like these 2. But I hope that helps. This is also the time when I, of course, treated all the water for the chlorine, and then I did the Algaefix in all of them. So that's what we're doing today for day 3. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you on the next update. is your update on our bacterial bloom that we had. This is now day 10. And I thought I would set everything up to show you where we are right now. So let me move out of the way so you guys can see what's going on. Okay, so you can see we've had some changes going on. But first, probably the biggest thing you can see right away is the fact that I did change out the background. Now, the tank to your lower left, that's the new Tree of Life. And I ran out of the white film that were on the Trinity tanks, and I just used some leftover vinyl, black vinyl that's like upholstery fabric, and just taped it to the back. Well, when I put it on there, I saw that it had this beautiful negative space reflected the tree, making it look like it went way beyond the tank itself, especially when I looked at it like with the Trinity tanks. So I'm not dissing everyone that has white as their background, but I can tell you the day after, like the morning after I woke up after swapping these out, the white for the black, my immediately thought was the tanks looked a little more professional. It gives them a lot more depth, and I did not expect that. I didn't think the color of the background really would have any relevance on that. And so I'm loving the look. I swapped them all out because, number one, my little studio area here is all so compact that I want uniformity going across all the builds. So that's another reason why, since I needed the rim on the tanks for the Trinity series, I kept the rim on the tank for the Tree of Life, and just for uniformity across the board there. So that's number one. Number two, I went with a wave maker in the Tree of Life, and because I had been wanting a ripple effect at the top of the water. Now I started researching why you need a current flow inside your tank, and okay, so this is a newbie thing. I was completely unaware of why you want movement in the tank. I never even gave that a consideration. But once I started doing the research on it and the specific placement of the wave maker, it just changed everything completely. And I can tell you from just my limited experience with this, putting the wave maker in the Tree of Life tanks has been a game changer. It's not even been in there 24 hours yet. I wish I had been filming when I was deciding where to put the wave maker, because the wave maker, as soon as I put them in there, started stirring up all of that crud that has been happening with the algae bloom. So one nice thing is because now that we have motion in there, it is giving it less opportunity to attach itself to anything. So one cool thing is literally I could put my net in a spot in the tank and let it sit there. The wave maker is positioned more towards the bottom to make sure, and it's circulating. It's doing a circular motion. And you can tell if you look at Turtle in Motion, he's got like a little piece of thing that keeps going around and around and around. That's exactly what you want. You want that circular. You don't want any dead spots in the tank as far as water. So when I did the research about how much wave action you need, you really don't want waves. You really want just the breaking of the surface. It's not that you're going to increase your oxygen in the tank with a lot of wave action. Actually, what you need is just the wave movement that will increase the oxygen in the tank. And I was totally ignorant on that. So as you can tell, all my tanks have a little motion up there, some a little more than others because it was in a 10-gallon tank. It was more difficult to place them than it was in the 20-gallon. That one was so much easier. But you really kind of want them middle or lower, pointing forward up at an angle. You can also have them pointing towards a structure itself or like the glass itself. so that just making sure you get that circular function, and then you're going to be able to get more air into the tank without having to have a filter or a bubble machine or something like that. So there are massive benefits for the plants. And the plants, some of them prefer the motion. So I did research like the leopard vallisneria, the motion they like to have, and also the rosa plant that we've got now in all three of those tanks. A little motion on a plant is very healthy for it. There's this whole little chemical formula about how the motion affects the plant and the plant's health. And also another feature is if the plant's got this movement going on, it's going to be a lot more difficult for anything to like attach itself to the plant, any type of algae or anything like that. So that's another benefit. Now, I'll tell you how I did my water changes because we were already in cycle. And I didn't do this in the text messages that I was updating you daily. So when I was putting together the Tree of Life, its water was already started cycling for 2 days and its parameters were fine. So the only tank that I emptied was Garden of Eden up there on the left because it was having and still having the tannin issues. So I pulled its water out completely. I took the water from Turtle and pumped it into Eden. I took the water from Bird on a Wire and pumped it into Turtle. So everybody's water got recycled because they were all doing relatively fine. And then Tree of Life, I took half of its water and it went into Bird on a Wire. So everyone was recycled. And then I always keep like 5 gallons of water that's treated sitting in a water jug so that it's already starting its cycle internally in the water jug. And I just replaced that into Tree of Life. So everyone got water, but they didn't get like fresh tap water is the main point. Another thing is that I have added the plants to the tops of the tanks. And so the ones I have up there right now seem to be doing okay. I haven't seen anything really go outlandish or anything like that yet. But the one takeaway is if you put, or even if you don't use a wave maker constantly, if you're wanting to clean and get things out of and stir things up in your tank, you could put one in there temporarily if you just want to stir things up and clean it out. I did try the 5-watt pumps, the little mini pumps. They just did not have the output and they were inconsistent. So where one would do really, really well, another one would barely do anything. And if I hadn't have thrown the boxes away, I would have returned them to Amazon because they're basically, they had good reviews, but I got 4 of them and only one of them worked as it should have worked. The rest did not. So I was not happy with those at all. So the next time I need to do a waterfall, I've got lots of choices on how to do the pumps in there. Another thing is that I was really kind of debating about, now that I've put the black background, that I want to keep my substrate raw like this. And so I started a bowl, which you can see. Let's kind of like tune in on it. So I had some plants left over from the Tree of Life. And you can see I've got the rosa in a bowl with the sand on it. So the sand has filtrated its way down into the rest of it, into the substrate. So I'm thinking now, I'm so glad I did that. I had a little bit of sand left and I put it in there, and I'm glad I did because now I don't think I want it in the tanks that way. It just stirs up. It gets stirred up so super easy. And I don't think I want that. So I think I'm going to live with the tanks the way they are right now. Now, for those of you who are paying attention, we do have, you can see it back there. I keep adding just a little bit of water at a time to the water sprite. Now remember, this was not even above ground. When I planted these, they were all at the gravel level. So what you see in there is growth just from just from the days that we have been doing this experiment. So that plant is growing like crazy. Another one, okay, that's a bowl I did. Go back here. All right, so here we are at the vase, doing very well. It's had at least 3 days now of clear water, no outbreak anymore in it. So that's looking good. Unfortunately, the good news stops there. This one, I have done so many water changes on this thing, and it still gets that. I think I'm just gonna have to take it apart. Something's wrong, I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna take it apart because it's actually already killed one of the plants in it. So this one, the little nano tank, it's coming out, and I'll try to recover what plants I can. But I was treating it with Algaefix. I was doing multiple water changes. I drained all the water out of it completely, and still, it was still messing up. So that one is not a success. That one is a failure. Let's go up and back up a little bit. So now you can see what I was able to, and I love this, is when I put the pumps in, the wave makers, sorry, I was able to really clean off the wood, because even in the last few days, that slimy stuff was attaching itself to the wood. And so with the wave maker in there, it just blew it right away, and then it blows it into the water column, and then I just put my net in there. Now, I did mess up my dwarf hair grass because the waves were kind of like too much for it. So I had to find a balance in every single tank on where could I put the wave maker that it wouldn't disrupt everything. And so the hard part is that I just had to play around with it. Okay, so you can see the one little particle, and it will just go around. Everything just rotates around in a counterclockwise in this tank, because the wave maker is angled more to the back wall. And I'll put it there because it's right under the wood structure, and I need it to keep that wood structure free of that bacteria trying to attach itself to it. So that's the whole point behind that. Now, if you want to look up here, that pothos is doing flawlessly up there. Doing really, really well. And then that's a pepermonia, which is a vine, a spotted one. Looks really, really cool. Now let's go to turtle. Okay. Now, turtle was a challenge because I could not find a balance to where I wasn't ripping the Vallisneria leopard out of its soil. And what I ended up having to do is put the pump right next to it. So it's only pulling like 3 strands closer to it, but it's not jostling all around like it was before. And in this one, I did add another tiny, tiny, tiny piece of the Nubius white. And because it was in Garden of Eden, and it kept coming out because the waves are too strong in there now for it. So I put it in one of the little tiniest little spots there. Now in this tank, we have a prayer plant that is right at the front. I was really, really nervous because when I took that out of its pot, I kind of just pulled it out. And I thought, oh my God, it's going to die. I had to cut off a couple of limbs that looked like they were going to die, but nothing is dying from this point now. It's still holding its own. And as we look up, that is a rattlesnake plant that's on the back side of that. And there's all the plants I put out here, I read research on all of them, and they're all supposed to grow well in water. All right, now let's turn our attention to Garden of Eden. And those of you who've been on the channel before, you know this used to be called prayer hands, but because I added, you see the piece of the little stick, little contorted stick that floats at the top? it looks like a snake. It has a snake's mouth, and inside the snake's mouth, I put a little piece of the rosa plant, so it looks like it has a red tongue coming out. And that's why I decided this was no longer prayer hands. This is the Garden of Eden, and that's Adam and Eve longing for each other, I guess is the lack of better words. But we've got the serpent that's hovering, up above. So I thought that was kind of cool. Now in this one, I kind of had to, first I had to have the wave maker pointing directly at the rocks because it was killing the water sprite. So I want the water sprite to be able to stand up, and it wasn't, poor water sprite wasn't standing up. Now those of you that remember when we planted this tank, that was, how many days ago now? Not even, we're at 10 days for this. And it took, 2 days for us to have the outbreak? So we're not even 2 weeks in. That water sprite wasn't even, you couldn't even see it. Now, look how tall it is. It's going to be breaching. And I'm going to be able to cut it and plant some more of it. So I would say water sprite is like an amazing plant. And I like the fact that the golden, the Anubias golden is at the top, and it's got motion going on with it. And that are rosa plants that are at the right-hand side, the ones that were the tiniest, look really, really well, but I may have messed up the ones down here because they haven't grown at all. So I think they might be dead. See those two? And they were growing, but when I added the more soil and they got disrupted, and sometimes they'll say like, you don't mess with the plant because if you disrupt it, it's going to mess up. So that's probably what's happened to those two. I had to replant or reposition the plants going into between the rocks because the wave maker was making so much motion. So now what I've done is I've turned it, you can see, I've turned it, it's where it's rippling, but it's not affecting, it's just moving the Vallisneria, and it's kind of tilted to the back glass, which is okay. So here you can see there's, okay. Right at the top of your screen, there's a little red, if I can get any closer, and you can see. Okay, yeah. You see that? That's the tongue coming out the mouth of my snake. So that's one's Garden of Eden. Okay, so we have a Monstera here, and then we have, I think that is another Peperomia, but that one is not the spotted one. That one has just got a solid. And then it's kind of hard to see, but go back. Rex Begonia right there, which I really, 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 really hope that it grows well. It is supposed to, because look, it has, well, you can't see it from here. It has this beautiful, like purplishly red undercarriage, which fits the theme of all the tanks, like the rattlesnake. It's behind the bottom side of its leaves have a purplish tint as well. So the only one I don't have a purplish tint in is the bird on a wire, but it's got more of the pink in it. So it kind of balances everything out. So I'm really happy now with the fact that we've got the wave going. So we got water movement, and I think they're looking great. I'll continue to monitor them as far as doing the water parameters and doing that kind of stuff. I need to top off all the tanks, but I was waiting until making sure that the plants are going to stay where they are before I push them all back into their regular area, because I just got the wave makers in, and I want to make sure I hide the cords as much as possible. That way we don't have anything, breaking up our image there. But so far, I'm loving it. Let me guys know what you think. Give me the thumbs up. Make a comment if you want to make a comment. I love the comments. I do read all your comments because I love the community that we're building. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It costs you nothing. It just helps to push the channel out there to other beginners in the hobby, which is really, really what we want. And I will see you guys on the next video build. Thanks and have a great day. Bye-bye.